If you woke up one day and realized there was no one left to call, no group chat that felt alive, no friend you could text without overthinking, no one who really knew what was happening inside you. It didn't happen suddenly. No fight, no dramatic goodbye, no clear ending. Just silence. And one day you noticed you were alone. Not because you pushed people away, but because they stopped reaching. And the scariest part? You still don't fully understand why. 1. The illusion of friendship in your early 20s. Most friendships in your early life aren't built on depth. They're built on proximity. Same school, same classes, same stress, same schedule. You weren't close because you understood each other. You were close because life kept putting you in the same room. Shared chaos creates the illusion of intimacy. Late nights, complaining together, laughing at the same problems. It feels like connection, but it's not tested connection. And when that shared environment disappears, the friendship is exposed, not broken, exposed. 2. When proximity ends, reality begins. Your 20s are usually the first time life stops forcing people together. Different jobs, different priorities, different emotional capacities. Suddenly, no one is automatically present anymore. Now, connection requires effort, initiation, emotional availability, reciprocity. And this is where many friendships quietly die, not because of distance, but because depth was never there to begin with. 3. Value divergence no one talks about. Here's the part people avoid saying out loud. You didn't just change, your values did. What you tolerate, what drains you, what feels meaningful. In your early 20s, you tolerate imbalance. You excuse being the one who listens, being the one who understands, being the one who adjusts. But growth sharpens awareness, and once awareness arrives, tolerance disappears. That's not arrogance, that's maturity. You didn't lose friends, you outgrew the version of yourself that needed them to feel whole. 4. Emotional labor imbalance. Many people lose friends in their 20s because they stop performing emotional labor for free. You were the listener, the helper, the safe one. People came to you with problems, but disappeared when you needed space. And you didn't complain, because you didn't want to be difficult, because you didn't want to lose people. But here's the truth. Friendships built on one-sided emotional availability collapse when the giver stops overfunctioning. Not because you changed, but because the system depended on your silence. 5. The quiet resentment phase. You didn't leave loudly, you withdrew quietly. You started noticing, you always initiate, you're rarely chosen, you're remembered only when needed, and resentment formed, silently. Not rage, not hatred, just emotional fatigue. You didn't want to confront them, you just wanted them to notice. They didn't, and that's when distance became permanent. 6. Growth is inconvenient. Personal growth isn't inspirational to everyone. Sometimes it's threatening. When you become more self-aware, more intentional, more selective, you disrupt the unspoken contract. You no longer laugh at the same things. You no longer engage in shallow bonding. You no longer tolerate emotional avoidance. And some people interpret that as rejection. So instead of meeting you where you are, they drift. Not because you are better, but because you're no longer compatible. 7. The loneliness that follows growth. After the friendships fade, you enter a strange phase. You're not surrounded, but you're not fake anymore. This is not loneliness the world recognizes. This is quiet isolation. The kind where you're emotionally deeper than before, but have fewer people to share it with, and no clear way to rebuild. It feels like grief without a funeral. No one checks on you because nothing bad happened, but something ended. 8. Nervous system withdrawal. Psychologically, this phase is destabilizing. Your nervous system was used to social feedback, messages, plans, validation. When that disappears, your system doesn't interpret it as peace, it interprets it as danger. You question yourself, did I do something wrong? Am I difficult? Am I unlikable now? This is why losing friends in your 20s often hits harder than breakups, because it attacks identity. 9. Why advice makes it worse. This is why common advice feels empty. Everyone grows apart. You'll make new friends. That's just adulthood. Those statements skip the grief. They invalidate the loss. Because the pain isn't about quantity, it's about belonging. And when belonging disappears quietly, the mind fills the silence with self-blame. Here is what no one tells you. This phase often appears right before deeper alignment. You are no longer surrounded because your system is recalibrating. You're shedding relationships that required you to be smaller, quieter, less honest, less aware. That loss hurts, but it's not meaningless. Your 20s are the first decade where you define yourself independently. You choose values consciously. You notice emotional patterns clearly. That awareness makes surface-level connections unbearable. So the cost of depth is fewer people, at least temporarily. The open loop. This is why your 20s feel quieter than they should be, not because you failed socially, but because you stopped pretending connection was the same as closeness. And the next phase? It's scarier, because now you have to rebuild, slowly, intentionally, without illusions. But this time, you won't lose yourself in the process.
If you love new knowledge to improve your life, hit subscribe now.